Also, you should know you're being recorded. So that's the other piece of the puzzle. So I've been in charge of the confirmation program now for about 3 years, and it has been a great opportunity to get to learn your kids and learn from them and teach them as well. This year, we'll be doing some different stuff, and we're going to go over that. But let me introduce to you Vicar Jenny. She can tell a little bit about herself. She's also one of our teachers.
Yep, I'm Vicar Jenny. I am in the process of becoming a pastor, and I will be here for the next year with your kids as well on Monday nights. I am a student at Trinity Lutheran Seminary down here in Bexley, Ohio, and in the process of becoming a minister of Word and Sacrament, as I said. And I will be working alongside your kids as well and teaching them alongside Pastor Tim.
So something that's different about Vicar Jenny is some of you might have remembered interns in the past were here for a year and then they went back to the seminary. Vicar Jenny did not fail her first year. It is an intentional second year as they do a new program. It's called 2 by 2. And so she is learning and then doing classes while she learns. So she is our first intern to do 2 years here with us as part of that program. Also, another member of our staff that you'll get to know is Jocelyn. Jocelyn Alford does a lot of the communications. You probably already got a million emails from her, right? Telling you that there's an open acolyting slot if you'd like to fill. But she is going to talk a little bit, introduce herself so you know who she is, and talk a little bit about that process.
Yeah, just to put a name to face to the name that you're seeing on the email. I do the MSP, so I schedule all of your kids for acolyting in the nursery. So if you ever have any questions, just reach out to me. Those emails are automatic. They're auto-generated. You don't have to respond to them with and I think everybody's pretty comfortable with MSP and how it works. Is that right? If you're not, and it's not working well for you, let me know and I'll help you with it when we get to it. It's supposed to be a tool to make everything easier, not annoying, but easier. So other than that, I don't do too much else with confirmation, but I do key signs, I work in the office, I do a lot of other stuff around church. Any information, you can always reach out to me as well. Nice to meet you. I had 4 kids go through, so you know, it's a lot of time. They get a lot out of it. So.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Jocelyn.
Yeah, I'm gonna take off.
All right.
Thanks, Jocelyn.
All right, first of all, I want to thank you as parents. It's a real joy to get to work with you and your kids. I know you're in the middle school phase of life. That's a challenging phase of life in lots of different ways. You're trying to explore with your kids all sorts of things, right? Who they are in this world, all the activities that they want to try out and give their hand at. And in the midst of this, we add one more thing, right? Their faith development, their spiritual development. And so I give thanks that you are making that a priority in their lives. It will prove out to be a really useful tool as they navigate down the road. One of the great parts about being in confirmation is that you get to know some people here in this room. I want you to do that. So we're going to take like 6 quick minutes to get to know the people at your table. If you're not at a table with other people, why don't we move around a little bit? Let's do a few things and just name, what do you do for work, that work inside or outside the house? What's your absolute favorite thing about your kid? I think sometimes we can get caught up in the things that annoy us, bug us, drive us crazy, all of that sort of stuff. We could name that stuff really well, right? And even sometimes I notice, like, I don't know if it's a parental bonding thing that we do when we get together in groups, like we start chatting about that. Maybe it's just, you know, they all have the same thing going on. But let's flip that script just for today at least and talk about our favorite thing that we have. What do you absolutely love about your kid? And then an adventure or goal that you have not accomplished is, just finish that statement. So we'll take 6 minutes. I'll keep the time. It's just to get to know some other parents that are in the room. If you're not at a table with a lot of people, you can go ahead and move. Feel free. We won't judge you. All right. Ready, go.
Hi. Amanda. Nice to meet you. Well, Luke, go ahead.
So I'm a county manager for Mutual Fund. Guess my favorite thing about Jacob is he's pretty fearless. Adventure, we actually are planning a trip to Alaska next summer.
Nice. So.
It's good to share those. Common goals.
And you guys live here in
We
Denver?
live
That was one thing I really expected. I'm always looking for whereabouts. Okay, so we've been all in our beach.
Yeah.
So we're actually sleeping.
So
is he, is Jacob at his station?
this year?
So they probably did go to elementary school together, so now they're sisters.
They were in Darby Creek.
Were they?
Oh,
Is he
okay.
in sixth grade now?
Yeah.
She is, yeah.
Oh, she, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Hadley. Yeah. So Jacob went to all that.
Yeah.
Magic this table right here.
For those of you who are online with us, you might want to fast forward now if you haven't already.
Just have to call him, like, but the serious one still make sure. Track
Yeah,
up.
I
It's
got
not too bad.
married, baptized.
We might have to say next year. So, yeah. It's challenging, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Oh,
We passed the church. Like,
the underground.
You'll know how to do
without.
That's nice.
Oh, so TME, I work for a very small company. For about 25 years. I'm the vice president of management for 11 years. And we negotiate and then my favorite thing about Jacob is he loves love. He's very quiet and introverted, but once he lets people in, he is just yeah. And then again, Alaska.
Yeah.
That's been on our list.
What time of year are you going?
Next July.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, Ryan, I work for NiceHorse right now. Might be in the job market here. I've been there 16 years. Maybe starting a new career, my new adventure, maybe. Not that I want to accomplish that right now. But, yeah, I've been there 16 years. I run our sustainability strategy. So yeah, Hadley just turned 11 in August. I love that she cooks. We share that passion together. I do a lot of cooking. She does more baking, but she helps me in the kitchen a lot. I have a garden and girls together. So food's a common thing for us to kind of connect. So she has her own chef's knives and everything. So that's what I love. And an adventure role. I was pretty adventurous in my younger days. I don't have a lot of big adventures.
I feel like you just accomplished.
I did, yeah, we bought a boat last year.
We're still living that.
Yeah, riding that high. Yeah, we were out for 12 hours
Oh,
yesterday.
you got like Buckeye Lake, it's over here.
We traveled. Yes, we were in Buck Creek yesterday after. Really nice out there. Not busy at all. So, you get, it's not a, it's a deck boat, so it's a little too deep for Indian and Buckeye right now. No rain, so had to stay away. We've been an hour in Buck Creek. So.
I am a marketer. Travel around.
2 minutes. 2 more
My
minutes.
favorite thing is happy is travel. person.
She's not playing with buddies right now.
I don't think it's
It's not long time when we got away from it.
so that's my favorite thing is she will get to know.
And so I'm very
Choosy.
Went through that, I guess, and used the box. One of them.
And she lives in Reed recently.
That's what I love this song.
Yes. So that's been cool. And then I'll go with gold.
That's my favorite.
I just
Hey, Kevin, school is back.
I just need to accept to know what's happening. That's my goal. Is to get more of a structure. So, yes.
How many kids do you guys have?
Just two. How these are. She's when she was a year. She turned a lot, but
Jacob's the same, he's in July, so he's.
All right, if I could call you back. Good to hear you talking.
Is she here?
No.
All right. You can keep talking later. And I love it. I love that the holy commotion that's happening, but we got stuff to move on to and things to do today. So I hope that was good. One of the things that's nice, we're in a big church. Sometimes we miss people. You know, go to church with you, don't know you. So I want to encourage you to stop people every once in a while. If you see them in car line or just waiting out there, you know, get out of your car, introduce yourself, you know, get the opportunity to get to know each other. You will have a lot more fun. It's like if you're a parent on the soccer field and you just sit in your chair, you don't ever introduce yourself. It's not as much fun to go to the soccer field. When you get to know the rest of the parents and how loud and crazy they are too, it's a lot more fun than because you're getting that social interaction as well. Same thing outside. I know you got one more thing to do, but if you're just playing Candy Crush, might as well play Candy Crush and talk to somebody else too. So I want to encourage you as parents, be that motivator, be the person that does this. Few changes to confirmation. No cell phones on Monday. I need your help on that one. It's better if they just don't come. We'll collect them if they do. We're going to be sticklers about that right away at the beginning of this year. We'll just put them in a basket. We'll have it set out right in the front. We are not having devices at our schools because they're hard for our learning. Surprise, it's what we're doing here. And we're in favor of that. We are in favor of not having devices. And we want people to be in this space. They will not go from this space, right? So you don't need to worry about communicating with them. We are done almost exactly on time. If there's ever a change in the schedule and you need to know about it, let me know. I'm more than happy to work with you or to know where your kid is going. But that's one of the things. We will have speakers, and I don't mean those big speakers you got in college with the 15-inch subs on the bottom, right? I'm the only one. Okay. I just pulled mine out. It's a whole thing. I feel old. But this year we'll be doing a whole series. So we'll have nights where we're bringing in guest speakers. These are mostly pastors or professionals in their specific faith realm. So like the priest from the Episcopal Church, or it's the deacon from the Catholic Church that's coming in, or somebody. And so we will have nights where there are speakers. I would strongly encourage you, because this is a great opportunity. If you've got other things going on those nights, you really want to make sure that your kid is here. The idea, every speaker that I invite to come with us, I purposely say you should be open to middle school questions. You know what I mean? Those questions that sound ignorant or naive, but they're innocent, right? And our hope is that our kids can get all of that stuff out, right? This is the place we want them to learn and grow. We don't want them to hold back on those kind of questions. We want them to ask the silliest, goofiest, weirdest, strangest questions that they got going on, because these experts that are coming in are going to be able to handle them. They've heard them before, right? It's nothing new. And so we want that to make sure, want to create that safe space to be able to do that. Really important when we have speaker nights that we have our kids here. And this year, our books are not going home. They're going to stay here. Now, in my dream world, they go home, they read about the things, they come back, they have deep conversations with you about them, right? That was not happening. So our books are going to stay here. We're going to use them as a resource in our small groups. And so you shouldn't need to worry about a confirmation backpack this year. Everything stays here in this space. They'll make them pretty and look like their own, but they're going to stick here for this year. One of the things that we have is the wellness wheel. How many of you are familiar with the wellness wheel? Right? A few of you. If you are in 7th grade or above, you should know this. I use this every year in my presentation. The wellness wheel is an important piece. If you are looking personally for a little, if you're feeling off center ever in your life, I encourage you to find one of these in black and white, then shade in each area as to how do you feel it? Like, how are you feeling intellectually stimulated? How are you feeling emotionally? Like, shade it in. It's just for you, and it's a good tool. It'll help you put onto paper how you're doing in here, right? And it will help you see what's your wheel look like? What is the missing piece to your wheel? And what are the areas that you need to work on? It's a professional tool that we use in ministry every May usually to reflect and make sure that we're not burning out, right? And it's an important thing. So if you haven't used this, you can find them online, black and white. Do it. It's a probably 30-minute exercise. It really can transform how you are feeling about yourself. But we are really big on making sure that our kids are in all these spaces, right? It's really challenging. One of the hard parts about raising kids is to try to get them holistically raised, right? We have all these different spaces. And a lot of this stuff is covered in other areas of our lives, right? But if we overemphasize one and underemphasize another, it becomes a problem, right? Your wheel doesn't turn as easy. And sometimes we can just lean into our strengths. And I've read Strength Finders 2.0. I understand. Do your strengths, your weaknesses. You don't get as much return. Just emphasize your strengths. That's fine. If you believe that, go for it. For your kids, though, I think they're still developing. I still think that they're trying to figure themselves out. And I want you to think more holistically about who they are. In that wheel, we cover the spiritual side of the wheel, right? That's what we're doing here. You've heard from athletes and other performers about one of the things that they've been struggling with, right? Is a lot of social, emotional spaces. And, we just had the Olympics. It wasn't as dramatic as Tokyo, but we did have athletes that had these breakdowns, right? And it's finding to make sure that their wheel is complete. If you're listening to their interviews, it was like, I came back and I got with a therapist. I've been with therapists every day or every week now since the Olympics. These people who were winning gold medals, their physical side fully well, probably their social side pretty well, right? But their spiritual, emotional side, they were not doing it. And when you find your wheel is off base, it really throws everything off. And sometimes this is that little activity of coloring it in can be something you do with your kids. If you've done it, you can do it with them to help get a center of like, where are you in? This is a good check-in. Where are you at? What are the things that I can help you with? You need more social stuff? Yeah, I can help set that up. I can make that a space, right? I currently sit on a couple committees, one with the school district, another with the city, that deal with social, emotional well-being and substance abuse. And these committees are taking up this challenge. The problem is even our county representatives that come to these meetings, right, are struggling with these exact same things, right? Our kids, their substance abuse is constantly changing. Vaping is a huge issue, but now, if you don't know, vaping is moving to pouches. Kids like to use pouches, especially athletes. Vaping hurts their lungs. They want to use pouches. Still gives you the nicotine rush. Still all the same stuff, but Zyns are where it's at. life is consistently changing, and they're on the cutting edge of how that works and how we think about it. We also are dealing with parents who are more concerned about their kids being home alone on a Friday night than them being at a beer party. That may be where you're at, right? But that, of course, can cause other problems, having people underage drinking as problems. So instead of solving the problem, they're just creating a solution that works for them, right? And so the city is taking up this challenge, and we've got money behind it. So as much as you've seen Slow Down Dublin, right? They just put a whole sloth on the ground over by Avery Park. I don't know if you noticed that, but we are also dealing with that issue as a community. And it's everyone from OP all the way down to the churches. They've got a huge group of us that are brought together to have this conversation. Because what we're seeing in our student well-being surveys that are coming back, that our middle schoolers are dealing with this issue, negative self-talk. You probably know that, but if you don't, that's an issue that your kid is dealing with, about the ways that they're not doing well. They're not living up to the expectations. Could be the classes they're in, their performance in their classes, could be the sports, not working out for them. 7th grade, they start getting cut. They start, all these things start happening, and changes start occurring in their bodies as well. So that's one of the things. Self-isolation, it's easier to be alone sometimes, right, than to deal with it. Anxiety, of course, has always been an issue. Leads to online bullying. Online bullying is just insane right now. I'm a proponent of Wait Till 8. If you don't know what that is, it's waiting to bring screens and especially social media until 8th grade. Studies are out now. Screens are not good for your kids. It's a shocker, but they are not great. And they especially are teenage girls. So The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt is out. Book I'd recommend, a little expensive, but if you don't read, listen to it. Really good information that he has in there, actually science-based stuff around self-harm. And really something we should be paying attention to now. That goes into the self-destruction action, suicidal ideation. What we want to do is, for our kids, we want to create what I call circles of resilience. So as a piece of this, right, we know that our kids struggle with this. One of the things that we want to do is create for them many circles of people that they can go to, and that includes their friend groups. Their peer groups are some of the most strongest ties that they have at this age. And if we focus too heavily on one side over the other, that's where we don't have many circles. So we want them to have a circle of friends in their neighborhood, at their school. We want their soccer to be a circle of friends. We want their theater friends to be a circle of friends. We also want this to be a place where they have a circle of friends. So that when one of those friend groups doesn't work out anymore, or you have to quit baseball, or you're done now with theater, or not making the cut anymore, and you don't want to keep going, you can always come back to here, right? We don't cut anyone. Everyone makes the team. This is another one of those places where you can find friends and grow together in that, right? And we're going to be more spiritual oriented, focusing on faith development, but that's our bailiwick, right? You don't bring them here to learn soccer. We're not teaching math. We're teaching their spiritual aspect of their wheel, right? And so that's what we are up to here, and in response to this. So in our confirmation, we have 3 goals. We want them to grow. What does that look like? Just to be active in thinking more deeply about what their faith is in their world and in their own life. We want them to know the things about their faith, right? And this community of Prince of Peace. And we want them to be able to go out and show that off. That faith isn't just something internal, but it isn't external. It changes how we interact with people in this world. It makes us more gracious, more peaceful, more merciful. We do this not because we are inclined to it, but because we are called to it, right? And that's one of the reasons why we have moved into this certain curriculum. So I set this curriculum up 3 years ago, hoping that it would all pan out, and it's looking like it will. We're doing a Bible year, a Lutheran year, and then an interfaith and ecumenical year. And the idea is that in their 3 years, they get aspects of all of those pieces of the puzzle. And then we'll rinse and rotate. Next year, we're back to our Bible year. Then we're going to do our Lutheran year. And we'll go back to our ecumenical and interfaith year. The idea is that we know how to interact with our friends and our families. What does confirmation mean? That when we move forward, getting confirmed isn't about checking boxes. We're not about checking boxes. This isn't about getting here X amount of times, doing so many acolytings, getting so many sermon notes, getting all these pieces of the puzzle done. If we were about that, it would be a completely different program. And I don't think it would be very spiritually oriented. Our hope is that we are working in partnership with our parents to think more deeply about faith development in their kids. We certainly know what we're doing here. And if you have questions, you can ask us how that might look in your own household, especially if you're not able to make it many times, right? But ultimately, at the end of the day, in 8th grade, to be confirmed means that our kids are willing to take on their own faith journey, wherever they are at, right? That instead of the baptismal promises that you made to them in their baptisms, if you don't remember, when you stood there, you made some promises that you were going to do these things as they grew up, right? Now they are taking them on themselves, and that is what means to be confirmed. You are now taking on your own faith journey. You're in charge of it, right? And so when they are ready to do that in 8th grade and you feel comfortable with that, that is our only requirement to be confirmed, right? You could miss all the classes. You could never acolyte and do 0 sermon notes and still be confirmed. Would I recommend it? No, because that's just missing out on all the stuff that we do here that will help them in their faith development. If you want to just check the box, go for it, right? If you're trying to make grandma and grandpa happy, we can make that happen, right? We understand that. Will that be the best for your kid? I don't personally think so, right? I don't personally. So let's just go through our schedule so that you know how we operate here. At 6 o'clock, we'll have a meal. And we'll ask you all to bring at least one meal. You can split that if you want to. So if you notice on our Sign Up Genius, can I slide that? On our Sign Up Genius, and I'll have this QR code, but we have 2 spots. You have a spot, and if you want to do a whole day, just one night, one day, that's fine. If you are like, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, I don't do things by myself very well, you can say, I'm going to take, the main course and somebody else takes the dessert or the side or something like that. You can work with somebody to do it. The meal runs from 6 to 6:30. Our service activity and game is at 6:30 to about 6:50. Then we do a large group time. That's where we're going to have our speaker. Those times will be flexible. When you have a speaker, we want to give them more time. So that will adjust down a little bit. And then our small group time, which is our color groups. So 6th graders are broken into gendered groups, our purple and our blue group. In a not shocker way, our 6th grade boys and our 6th grade girls, it's better to have them separated. Way different conversations, right, happening in those spaces. But when we get into 7th grade, we bring them and we mix them back together. So we bring them back together and then they become the green and the yellow group in 7th grade and the orange and the red group. And they have these conversations, and that will be the space where they're going to ask questions for the speaker, kind of formulate some of the questions. Maybe they don't want to raise their hand and ask out loud. How do we get those questions put together so that our speaker is ready to do that as well? So that's what they do. Then we have our prayer wall, which is over there in the corner. You'll notice all the Post-it notes are down from it. That's the sign from last year. We'll do a new sign for this year. But I want to encourage you when you come to church, just pop in there and look, right? Look at what the kids are praying for. Not every kid, but I would say 90% of our kids take it seriously. They put things that are on their heart. Now, that might seem foolish to you. Some of the things they put up there might seem kind of foolish to you, or like, but that's what's on their heart. And sometimes it really means a lot to them. And so each of the color groups are up there based off of so the purple group has purple Post-it notes, that sort of thing. So if you want to try to see where kids are at, what they're praying about, what's on their heart, check out our prayer board. Those prayers stay up there for a reason. And it's just a great opportunity to get an insight on where our kids are at. Then we'll release them to you at 7:30. We hope that you are here. Right? We've had them for an hour and a half. It's been great. And then we'd love to make sure they're not. If you, for some reason, get in an accident, have some major, something happen, do not worry. Like, we're not charging you by the minute that you're late, right? You're not gonna get the $1 a minute that Latchkey charges you. But instead, just please let us know what's going on. We will stay here. There's always 2 adults with every kid. We follow all those policies. We're all background checked. Everything is fine. But we will stay here as long as we need to, or we'll figure out ways that we can get your kid home. Again, we'll need to do certain things to, if we're gonna drive with them, we'll need your verbal okay. We'll put 2 adults in the car. They'll be in the back with the seatbelt on, all these types of things. Though that's the extreme situations, but if something happens, please just communicate that issue with us. All right. Let me talk a little bit about our curriculum. This is for you too. If you want to be a part of this, this is it. The books for adults are $10, but our confirmation program covers our kids. You don't have to worry about paying for these. And what we're doing in the fall is we're going to talk about other Christian faiths. That word is a big one called ecumenical. When we're talking about being ecumenical, we're talking about churches within the Christian faith. The Methodists, the Episcopals, even the Catholics are ecumenical people, right? We are all together in the Christian faith. We express it differently. We want to learn about that. We go to school with people like that. Same with our spring session will be interfaith. There we'll be covering the major ones, right? The ones that they're probably going to interact with. So there we have someone coming in from Beit Tikva over in Worthington. It's a synagogue there. Someone from Noor, the Islamic Center down in Hilliard. And then our hope is someone from the Hindu temple in Powell will be coming in. We're working with all of them. We have guarantee for a couple of them, but not everybody lined up. Really looking forward to our speakers. I think that they're going to be excited to present about what does it mean to be Hindu? What does it mean to be Jewish? What does it mean to be a Muslim? And that should be a great opportunity to learn and grow and for all of us. So the interfaith is in the spring. And we might have a chaplain as well that comes in. But you can follow along the same day. What we're doing, it's right in here. It's the same stuff we're talking about. So, we are not inviting all of the church to our speakers because that would shut our kids down. They wouldn't ask as many questions. We don't want them to ask questions. Our hope is that we can do that in that space. All right, let's get some nuts and bolts stuff out of the way. This is the logistics part of the program, right? So Shenanigans Weekend is a great opportunity to do team building. This is what we call sugar and running, and then sugar and more games, and then sugar and then more games and sugar. By the time they come to you, I'm hoping that their stomachs hurt and their bodies are tired, right? The idea is all team building. This is not like faith building. I have found this to be transformative in the way that our groups interact, especially for our 6th graders coming together. This is really important. This is one of the times I would ask you to ask your other activities to say, I need to take off that weekend. It's from the 13th to the 14th. You can sign up online for that. It's $75. It's exactly what the camp charges us. We are not charging a penny more. If you can't cover the $75, we will. So just put it under scholarship, and there's no questions asked about that. Our goal is just to get the kids there. We will figure out the money for any of our programming never should limit you for anything we do. We have the money, we have the resources, so don't ever let that hold you back, even if it's just you're tight on that money that month, right? Maybe a lot of things happen. That's fine. I'm not going to hunt you down. I'm not going to ask you why. If you want to talk about it, I'm more than happy to, but money is not our concern. So anyway, I hope you can come. I hope you can send your kids. We'll leave here at 5 and we'll drive up there. We'll have supper. and just play games and have fun. Archery is our fun thing this year. Last year we did the climbing wall. We're gonna vary that up every year. So archery is this year, so they can come back and, you know, kill zombies or something like that.
Where's the camp at?
The camp is it's Luther Memorial Camp, so it's about 40 minutes north here in Mount Gilead, would you say?
Right outside Mount Gilead.
Right outside Mount Gilead. Yeah, it's,
Andrew has 8th grade band night that night. Is
Sure.
that something we could bring him up after he's
Yes.
done?
so for both things, let me talk about, that's a good question. Thank you, Amy, for. So, overnights, especially for our kids that are coming in now, I'm finding to be is a thing. Because COVID, I think, this is my hunch, is that we didn't do sleepovers, and there's like a trend against sleepovers now, which is fine. I'm neither for nor against that. But it is just is, right? It is the way that we are doing it. So for some kids, going and spending the night is too much. If you need to come up and get them and bring them home at the end of the night, that's perfectly fine. If you want to bring them up late, they stay up very late, right? And so you're more than welcome to do that as well. You know, we would prefer if they could stay the whole time. And the other thing that I will say is we are doing another overnight. We do middle school, what we used to be called lock-ins, we call them sleepovers now. We do it at the church in January. Sometimes kids feel more comfortable with that. If you can't make this one, please try to make that one. Those again are good, just like team building, group building types. It makes them want to come back to confirmation, makes them want to be involved here. If they can be part of these types of things, that's really, really important. So if you want to leave early or come late, let me know. Unfortunately, that does not change your cost for the camp. They charge for every kid that shows up. That's just our charge. It's how it works. So, but we'd be happy to have them for as long as we can get them. So, you know your kids. Also, I will say, we've had it in the past where kids are leaving and they call the parents and say, "Can you just bring my stuff? Like, I want to actually stay." Because part of it's just getting there and being comfortable with the kids that are there. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, I really don't want to leave. But if they are going to stay, then they're going to stay, right? Make sure that that's the case. Like, I'm going to stay now, but now we're in the bed. I'm like, I don't want to stay anymore. Right? We don't want to have the going back and forth, right? It's like, you're making the commitment to stay. So, all right. Acolyting in nursery. We will go through this the very first night with all of your kids. So if they're not familiar with it, they don't drive, but they do have bikes. So you can feel free to send them on their bike. 15 minutes ahead of time, make sure that they're wearing good shoes and that they have a t-shirt under their hoodie. These are some of the problems that we run through. We run through some other stuff. What I would say is, if you are signed up for acolyting and you have to switch, that's fine. That happens, right? Try to find another one you can switch into. If you know that you're in the season of, like, you know, it's hockey season and you're not making any of these times, and my ask of you is to plan around that. When are you gonna then fill in some times in the fall? When are you gonna fill some times in the spring, right? If you know how your time works, try to fill that in. This is a great opportunity for a lot of our kids to grow in their just being in front of other people in a very safe space. So they're all nervous about it, but we can help them out with all of that. Nursery is the same thing. Make sure to try to check in with the nursery. If there's no kids, they tend to send them back into worship with you. So, sermon notes, we've changed those around. If you're familiar with the old ones, these are the new ones. I changed them a few years ago. They're less questions. They're inspiring sermon prompts. Like, the idea is really that you and your confirmand have conversation on the way home from church. Like, it's supposed to help them to think more deeply about what's being preached about, and to have you do that. Some parents do them right alongside. You feel free. If you want to do a sermon note, I'll even make notes on it if you turn it in, right? But we ask you that you turn them in. The turn-in spot is in the front. We'll cover that with your acolyte. If you need a refresher, I figure Jenny or I know, be happy to show you where that is, or Kaylee as well. So we'll return them back. Our idea is we want to shoot for 10, Our goal is 10, right? And for some kids, that's really challenging. For some kids, they do 20. That's fine. So however that works. Attendance here, let's talk about that, because a lot of people have reached out about this. Yes, I understand we are on Mondays. Sundays don't work equally as well. When we moved to Mondays, I did attendance tracking. Actually, our Monday night attendance was better than our Sunday morning attendance was. There is no day that's perfect. We understand that, and so we understand the wholeness wheel. We understand that your kids have other sports activities and things going on in life. Perfectly fine. We love that. We want them to be rounded out. Would say that you need to check in with them and see where they are on that wellness wheel and how they're doing. But if they are doing that, they can either do this, and if you want to take it home, you just make sure to bring it back. That's fine. They don't have to stay here, but they would do that. And like I said, try to find the important times to make sure to be here, or do a rotation. Work with your coaches. I have a 6th grader as well, and she's on club sports as well. We are working on rotations and talking with coaches. I have found that our coaches are very open to it. I've heard that some coaches are not. I would love to find out those coaches, because I'm working with their bosses on this substance abuse thing, and all of the people who are in charge of these other programs they are very open to making sure kids are involved in other things. They know the danger of putting one kid in one sport for their life, and they do not want that to happen. And so I've had those conversations at this city planning group that I'm a part of, and I feel like that message isn't getting down, and I've told them that. So hopefully that's more open. But the idea is they want their kids to be well-rounded. They understand how that works. And so be happy to have conversation. All of that's to say, some people have dance on Monday nights or scouts or something like this. There's things that just happen on Mondays. We're going to do what we called last year boot camps, but we're going to call them confirmation catch-up sessions. This is a intensive, we don't do the fun things. We just walk through the sessions. We might have them listen to some of the recorded speakers or something along those lines, and we'll walk through them. Those dates I'm still working out. The way that Christmas break works this year is that we only have Monday the 23rd that we could fit it in on, because of the way that school ends. So, and then everybody's on vacation, and it really is hard. Usually you can get it in before Christmas. So we might do it that day. We might try another day. If you just need a one-on-one, we'd be happy to set that up. We did that with a couple kids last year that just couldn't make any of the things work, but they just wanted a one-on-one. And so actually Vicar Jenny did a couple of those and met with them one-on-one. Happy to make it work however we can make it work, right? We're here for you. We did the meal sign up. I will say we have 45 kids, 6 adult leaders. So we have 25 to 30 kids usually that eat, or people that eat, but we have like 35 kids that eat dessert.
No joke.
We do have a few allergies that I wrote about, tree nut, gluten, things along that nature. So if you could make a little side, that'd be great. If those kids decide not to eat here, I will let you know, and we will say we don't have any allergies here. Some people just prefer to make their own food, and that's the way. One of the changes on the sign up is that we are asking you to put the thing that you're going to bring, which is whatever that might be. It's fine. However you want to do it is fine. Just let us know, so we don't have 6 weeks of Cane's and 4 weeks of pizza. We can like split that up a little bit more. Feel free to make all the kinds of meals, right? You can do breakfast for supper. Kids would love that. You can do, you can bring in anything you want to bring in. And you can be in communication with me or Vicar Jenny about that. The sign-up sheet is on there, again, 1 to 2 times. All right, this is for our 8th grade parents. If you don't know these dates, your 8th graders need to be at these dates, right? These are very important ones. Sunday the 27th is the day that we will do our preparation class. That is where we make sure that they know what they're doing. Then we meet with church council. Technically, church council has to approve them to be confirmed. Then we have rehearsal on the 17th, and on the 18th is the rite of confirmation. That's how it works. We have talked about making that rehearsal something more, making it kind of like a breakfast thing. If there's interest in that, let me know. I also know that May is like the busiest time of the year, like for everyone. I feel like everybody's May is really busy. So if it doesn't work out, that's fine. If you want to make it something bigger, if we want to do a bigger reception, we can. In the past, families have opted out of that. So for 8th graders, we'll be talking about that sort of stuff because they're doing their own thing. So we'll figure that out. All right.
What do
That's
they
a good
do,
question.
what, at the church council meeting, what, do they say who they are? Do they ask? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Whoa, we had questions asked of us, and it was intense.
it's basically a review for them, like to tell them they don't ask intense questions anymore. It's basically like what was something you learned, what was something that and then we try to have our council give affirmations, like, we're glad you're doing this, we want you to be part of the church, this is, so they're, so it's pretty easy.
I was
Yeah, it's not very scary. We'll prep them a little bit before they come in, just so they have some things in their mind. And things that aren't going well, it's a good opportunity for them to share with council if something's not going well.
How about this, that you'll send out, like, we're gonna have speakers this week, so like,
Yep.
Andrew would try to come on the weeks that he didn't have that Boy Scouts,
Yep,
and so like, we try to make me like, remember the Boy Scouts.
yep. I will, once I have I have all but 3 of the speakers confirmed for the year. I'm just waiting to make sure that I get all of them, so I know exactly who's doing what date. I can tell you the dates that I have planned, but if those dates don't work for our speakers, we're gonna have to adjust the schedule, right? So that's the struggle that I have. For the ecumenical, so for this half of the year, we have a day that we'll learn about it. We'll learn about the Episcopal Church, then we'll bring the Episcopal priest in. Then we'll have a day to learn about Methodism, then we'll bring the method. So it's every other week for that one. It's longer in the spring. I want to do a day to learn about Islam, a day to bring someone in, and then a day to process. So because that's going to be a lot more for them to work through. So. All right. There's probably more questions. You can always email me. Here's what I'll say. Please put my cell phone number, so I feel really cool, in your phone. No, the reason why is you don't want to be searching for my cell phone number. So just put it in. And I also would encourage you to put Pastor Tim on there. It's great to be involved in your group chats, but I'm not the Tim that you're always trying to send the message to. And while I love to know about all the things going on in your life, but you never know when you need my actual number. And if something's going on, let's say something else is going on with your kid that you want to have a conversation with, you can always call me. I've had situations where there's been a death in the family, and they wanted me to come over, or things along that nature that they just wanted somebody to talk to their kids about. Happy to do that. And sometimes you need me quicker than others, and you do not want to be finding like, where did that number at, so put it in your phone under Pastor Tim, and text or call anytime you want to. And I'm pretty responsive. I have Outlook here, and I don't like Outlook. It's really hard for me to work with. I like Gmail. So texting is probably your best bet for me than emailing. For some reason, my emails get lost. Sometimes emails don't even come through. Like today, Rachel said There was an email that came to both of us. I didn't get it at all, looked everywhere for it. I don't know. She forwarded the email. It has the right address. I hate Outlook. But that's beside the point. And so you could feel free to email me or on social media. You can do that as well. So I'm here for you whenever you need.
I have another question.
Yeah.
With Shenanigans Weekend,
Yes.
how do they pair up like the bunk situation? Is it just?
We do cabins. So there's a girls' cabin and a boys' cabin. And what I would say is Luther Memorial is rustic camping, right? So it is
Yes.
not what I would say. And so it's very kind of your classic bunk situation. There's no air conditioning, no heating, I think.
No, there's both of those, but we probably will not be using that.
Yeah. We asked the boys to not bring axe along. Oh my.
Oh,
Oh my.
Not my problem.
And yeah, so it's kind of more like that. And then the showers, they have like shower houses. We, tend not to take showers. We're not there that long. So we're busy doing other stuff. It doesn't smell like campfire. So anyway.
There are other churches there or just?
There is, so other churches are very interested in doing this because we've started it. And the reason they do it but they do it in the middle of the year. And so now there might be some that join along with us. I find that the team building that happens really transforms the way the rest of the year works. And so instead of doing it in the middle of the year, but I haven't heard of them. There is an AA group that's there every year. And they're kind of, it's fun to, interact. They don't interact at all, but like we eat meals together.
And that's the extent.
Yeah. They're very nice people.
Do you know when camp is next summer? Because we got an email about that. I just wanted to-
Yeah, I actually have a meeting next week with the executive director. So in the summer, we don't do programming for our kids. We have like a summer splash bash. But like for high schoolers, we have the mission trip, for other things like that. We're inviting our kids to go to camp, just to go to this same camp actually in the summer. It's a great opportunity for them to meet friends, hang out all week long, not shower, all that sort of stuff. And we have had trouble with registration in the past on that. And so we are having a conversation about that in a couple of weeks. So we'll get more information. The weeks fill up and then it's a whole problem. Good questions. Anything else? All right. Thank you so much for being here. I'm happy to have more conversation with
I
you.
will connect.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Don would be one. I wonder if they have any classes. I have to ask her.
Oh my
Yeah, so
gosh.
she had Alexander, and then in fourth
Greta.
grade, she had Greta. In third grade, she had Spot, which